The power of a morning routine. The power of a morning routine. There is a sacred moment that belongs only to you. The morning, before the world pulls at your attention, before the noise of the day rises to meet you, there exists a divine stillness where your spirit speaks and your imagination rules. That early hour is not just a time on the clock. It is the gateway to your power, the birthplace of all creation in your world. Your morning is where you set the foundation of your day, not by effort, but by assumption. The thoughts you choose, the feelings you dwell upon, and the reality you accept. As true in that first quiet moment, all become the mold from which your outer life is cast. This is not about discipline or productivity as the world defines it. It is about spiritual alignment. In the unseen, in the silent theater of your mind, you either rise into divine order or sink in repetition of yesterday. You are not preparing for life, you are creating it. The world is a mirror reflecting the inner state of the one who observes it. And so, to transform your life, you must first transform your mornings. Begin each day not with worry or memory, but with imagination. Assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled. See yourself already possessing what you seek. Speak from the end, walk from the outcome, and saturate your consciousness with the fragrance of answered prayer. You do not need permission from the world to be free. You need only accept the truth within yourself. Morning is your spiritual womb, where the unseen becomes seen, where God's voice is loudest in the silence. Honor it, use it. Declare who you are, and the world will rearrange itself to match. That is the power of a morning routine, not the doing, but the being. The first hour shapes the world. Within the most powerful part of your day is not when the world demands your attention, but when you first open your eyes, still surrounded by silence, and your mind is untouched by noise. That first hour, often taken for granted, is the most sacred and potent gateway between the invisible and visible world. It is in this window, before the outer world floods in, that you are closest to the truth of who you are, a creator, not by effort, but by inner agreement. What you think, what you feel, what you believe in that first hour becomes the very architecture of your lived experience. Most people wake up and instantly grab their phones, their minds seized by notifications, news, and the agendas of others. But the awakened soul knows better. It knows that the first thought you accept is the cornerstone of your reality. It knows that the first feeling you dwell on is the seed of your manifestations. In this sacred beginning, your inner world is soft, receptive, and open to suggestion. It is here in this stillness that you must plant only what you want to grow. If you wake up and rehearse old stories of lack, doubt, fear, or bitterness, you are choosing to recreate yesterday all over again. But if you rise and declare, "Today is the day my desire fulfills itself," and feel the truth of that statement, you send a new current into the spiritual substance of life. You command your world to shift. The world is not reacting to your doing, it is echoing your being. What you are in consciousness in the morning, you meet as form throughout the day. That is why the first hour is not just about morning routines or healthy habits. It is about spiritual authorship. You are not passive, you are writing the script. The awakened do not wait for life to happen, they shape it. Silently through imagination and faith. If you start your morning with gratitude, if you linger in the feeling of peace, if you visualize your desires as already realized, you are shaping the day ahead with divine intention. You are not wishing, you are creating. You are not hoping, you are assuming. An assumption, when felt as true, is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. You may not yet see the change, but life must conform to the mood you have embodied. Do not underestimate how powerful you are when the world is still asleep and your mind is still uncluttered. In that brief pocket of silence you are closest to God. You are closest to your true nature as a vessel of divine imagination. You are not weak, you are not confused. You are simply untrained in the use of your own power. But once you learn to honor the first hour, everything begins to change. You begin to rise, not just from sleep, but from limitation. You begin to walk, not in circles, but with direction. You begin to live, not by accident, but by design. And the world that once seemed random and cruel starts to bend toward you. People show up, opportunities arise, obstacles dissolve. Why? Because your state has changed, and everything in life is drawn to the state you dwell in. Morning is the hour of choice. Will you choose the old you or the new? Will you feed the problem or the promise? Will you act as the person you've been, or embody the person you're becoming? There is no need to chase. Results if you master the state that creates them, and that mastery begins the moment your eyes open and your mind is still fresh. The first hour is not preparation, it is prophecy, it is your statement to the universe, this is who I am. This is what I accept. This is what I allow, and the universe, being obedient, will answer, so be it. Never again say, I don't know what's happening in my life. The answer lies in what you entertained this morning. Did you affirm lack or abundance? Did you feel rushed or rested? Did you declare fear or faith? Your entire life is an echo of your spiritual decisions, most of which are made in that quiet hour before the world has touched you. This is not superstition. It is law, and once you live by this law, you stop being a victim of your days. You become the author. You realize you are never at the mercy of the external. You are only at the mercy of your internal agreement. So take back your morning. Reclaim the throne of your mind before anything else can sit on it. Wake up and speak like it's already done. Imagine like it's already yours. Feel like it's already here. That is the real morning routine, not the smoothie, not the workout, not the planner, but the state of consciousness you choose to embody. Choose it deliberately, choose it boldly, choose it early, because the first hour is not just the beginning of your day. It is the creation of your world. Assume the feeling. Before the world moves, before the world demands your reaction, before messages flood your phone and responsibilities call your name, there is a sacred opportunity, a divine invitation to go within and assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is not just a nice idea or a motivational quote. It is the secret that governs the unseen realm from which all visible things are born. The most powerful moment of the day is not when you act outwardly, but when you move inwardly into the state of your fulfilled desire. In the quiet of the morning, before the world has moved, you must move in spirit. You must sit still and step into the version of yourself that already has what you desire. Whether that be health, love, wealth, purpose, or peace, it is not found through effort, but assumption. The mistake most people make is starting their day from a place of lack, trying to get, trying to fix, trying to make something happen, but what you chase externally is simply a reflection of what you have failed to accept internally. You cannot attract what you have not first become, so you must begin each morning not with striving, but with surrender, not to fear or doubt, but to the truth of your divine power to imagine and embody. The feeling is the secret, and that feeling must be assumed before a single step is taken. Don't wait for the world to tell you who you are. Don't wait for results, emails, likes, or affirmations from others. In the privacy of your own consciousness, declare it. I am healed, I am prosperous, I am already living the life I desire. And then feel it as if it were already real, because in truth it already is. What you feel deeply and consistently in your imagination becomes the pattern your world will follow. The outer experience bends to the inner agreement. When you assume the feeling of being loved, even if no one is around to confirm it, the vibration you radiate attracts encounters that match it. When you walk through your day feeling as though your dream is already yours, the path opens before you, not because you're lucky, but because you've aligned your state with the outcome. People are trying to force the world to change, trying to manipulate conditions, trying to control others. But this is all backward. You do not need to change the world. You need to change the one who is perceiving the world. That is why the morning is so crucial. The moment you awaken, your mind is pliable, your spirit is attentive, and your assumptions are waiting to be chosen. Choose them wisely. Don't drift back into the old story of I hope this works, or maybe one day. No, rise into a new self, one who walks with the confidence of fulfillment, one who doesn't hope for change but embodies it. Let your emotions be your compass. If you feel joy, certainty, peace, and gratitude, then you are in the state of the answered prayer. If you feel desperation, anxiety, or impatience, then you are still dwelling in the absence. But here's the grace. You can shift at any moment, and the best time to do that is in the morning. Sit in silence, breathe, close your eyes, and step into the scene of your fulfilled desire, not as a spectator, but as the actor. Don't just see it, feel it, walk through it, touch it, own it. Live it in your mind so thoroughly that when you open your eyes, you know something in your world has changed, even if the evidence hasn't yet arrived. The assumption is the cause, the evidence is the effect, and effects must follow cause. That is divine law. The reason many people remain stuck is because they only assume when it's convenient, when it's easy, when they're motivated. But this power works for the consistent, for the one who dares to live from the unseen every single day, no matter how things appear. If you persist in the assumption, the world must conform, not by force, but by divine orchestration. You'll meet the right person by accident, receive the right email, be at the right place at the right time, not because of luck, but because the world was magnetized by your inner state. It is not arrogance to walk in the feeling of already having what you desire. It is not delusion, it is the highest form of obedience to the spiritual laws that govern creation. You were not sent here to struggle for scraps or beg for blessings. You were sent here to realize your power, to speak as one with authority. And that authority is exercised most powerfully in the morning, when the world has not yet placed its claims on you. Don't start your day looking outward for proof. Start it by looking inward for presence. Go into the spirit of the outcome and assume it until it feels natural. Then, when you rise from that chair, you are no longer hoping, you are knowing, you are no longer reacting, you are commanding, you are no longer a seeker. You are a sower, and your seed has been planted. The rest of the day may bring challenges, distractions, noise. But if you have assumed the right state in the morning, none of it can shake you, because your world now operates from a new foundation, a new script, a new consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality. So before you pick up your phone, before you check your email, before you move a muscle, assume the feeling, feel the joy, walk in the end, and know that this unseen act is not small. It is the cause of all that shall unfold. Your morning is the seed of your destiny. Each new morning is far more than the start of another day. It is a divine opportunity to sow the seed of your entire future. You are not merely waking up to brush your teeth and rush into a schedule. No, you are awakening as a creator, stepping into the sacred field of consciousness, where the harvest of your life is determined by what you choose to plant. The thoughts you think upon rising, the images you allow to linger, and the feelings you entertain in that soft, impressionable hour are not insignificant. They are seeds, and like all seeds, they do not remain unseen for long. They grow, they blossom, they call forth a world that matches their nature. Most people believe life is shaped by hard work, routine, or what happens to them throughout the day, but in truth, life bends in obedience to the state you occupy within. And that state is established most powerfully in the morning. What you dwell on before the day unfolds becomes the silent instruction you give to the universe, and the universe, being law, responds precisely. If you begin your morning in a mood of frustration, defeat, or fear, then you are sowing those very emotions into the soil of your experience. But if you start your day by stepping into gratitude, peace, joy, and the vivid feeling of already having what you desire, then you are sowing a future filled with answered prayers. The mind in the morning is fertile. It is open, it is ready to receive, and what it receives it becomes. You are not waiting on the world to change. You are planting the change in you. Destiny is not something far off waiting for a random moment to arrive. Destiny is being created in the now, and your morning is the first stroke of the masterpiece you will live out. So many people miss this truth because they believe only action counts, but all action flows from the state of being. What you are inwardly, you will do outwardly. The one who plants a morning of defeat will unconsciously move through the day attracting people and situations that reflect that same energy. But the one who, in the quiet of the morning, declares and feels, everything is working for my good, will notice doors opening, favor flowing, and resistance dissolving, not because the world changed on its own, but because they changed the seed they planted. You do not need to predict how it will happen. You do not need to manage every detail. You only need to take ownership of the seed, water it with belief, nourish it with repetition, protect it with consistency, refuse to allow the weeds of doubt and fear to choke the life out of what you've planted. This is why the first hour of the day is so essential. It is the moment you are closest to the infinite, unshaped substance of spirit. It is the time when you can imprint your desire upon the unseen, knowing it must come to pass. This is not magic, this is law, and just as surely as a physical seed will produce a harvest when placed in fertile soil, your mental and emotional seeds will produce experiences in your life. Don't underestimate the quiet ritual of a powerful morning. It is not the volume of what you do, but the intention behind it that creates change. 5 minutes of heartfelt, vivid imagination in the morning, where you see and feel yourself living your highest reality, is more powerful than hours of blind effort disconnected from vision. When you understand this, you stop rushing your mornings. You stop giving your first attention to news, noise, and the demands of others. You realize that your inner atmosphere is more important than any external agenda. The kingdom is within you, and the morning is the time to sit on that throne and declare what shall be. Do not be casual with your destiny. Do not allow random thoughts to take root. Be deliberate, be intentional. Be fierce in your devotion to what you are becoming. Write it, speak it, feel it, envision it. Do it so deeply that nothing in the world can shake you out of that state. If you will do this, the entire pattern of your life will begin to change. You will begin to meet people who carry your answer. You will stumble into opportunities you didn't even chase. You will find that life begins to reflect the tone you set within, and the tone is set first thing in the morning. It is the frequency you choose to broadcast, and all of life responds accordingly. If you believe the morning doesn't matter, then your life will feel scattered, reactive, and repetitive. But if you recognize that each morning is the womb of your becoming, then you treat it like the sacred space it is. You rise not with dread, but with command. You do not beg the day to be kind. You shape it with your assumptions. You do not fear what will come. You declare what shall be. And even when things don't go as planned, you remain anchored, because the seed was already sown, and nothing can uproot what has been planted in faith. You are not weak, you are not behind, you are not lost. You are simply one morning away from turning it all around. One morning where you refuse to let the past dictate the present. One morning where you say no to fear and yes to faith. One morning where you plant a new story with boldness and let the rest of the day water it with confidence. That morning could be tomorrow, or it could be now, because your morning isn't just a time, it's a spiritual decision. And the decision you make determines the destiny you live. So choose to sow what you truly want to experience. Choose to honor the sacred soil of your first thoughts. Choose to step into the life already given to you in spirit. And from that morning forward, watch how everything begins to bloom. Stillness is the gateway to revelation in a world obsessed with noise, speed, and relentless motion. There exists a sacred secret hidden in plain sight, stillness. Not the kind of stillness that comes from inactivity, but the spiritual stillness that allows you to hear what cannot be heard with ears and see what cannot be seen with eyes. It is in this divine stillness, especially in the early morning, that your highest revelations are born. Most people miss the voice of God not because he does not speak, but because they are too distracted to listen. They rush into the day with anxiety, thinking the more they do, the more they'll become. But the soul knows that becoming never begins with action. It begins with alignment, and alignment can only happen when you are still enough to receive. Stillness is not laziness. Stillness is divine sensitivity. It is when your heart is quiet, your mind is clear, and your spirit is open to the whispers of higher truth. In the early hours, when the world has not yet invaded your atmosphere, you have a rare opportunity to be with the infinite. Not to beg or plead or complain, but to commune, to hear, to be guided from within, the voice of God, the promptings of intuition, the images of your next steps. They come in stillness, not struggle. And so the most powerful morning routine is not always about doing more, but doing less with more awareness. The awakened individual does not rise into chaos. They rise into silence. They sit, they breathe, and they enter the invisible sanctuary of their mind where all things are possible. From this inner temple, they don't seek answers, they receive them. They don't make plans in fear. They receive divine blueprints through calm assurance. They don't react to the world. They respond from wisdom. In stillness, you return to your true identity, not as a body trying to survive, but as a soul commissioned to create. You stop being the person desperate for results and become the one who knows everything is already done in spirit. The world doesn't need your panic. It needs your peace. It needs your presence, and that presence is cultivated in morning stillness. When you sit in the quiet and let the noise of yesterday fade, when you turn down the volume of what the world expects and turn inward to the voice that whispers, "You are already enough," you become unshakable. In that space, clarity comes, inspiration comes, ideas you were striving to force suddenly appear, the burden you were carrying seems to lift. Why? Because stillness is not just absence of sound, it is the presence of God. And where that presence is, confusion cannot exist. Where that presence is, lack dissolves. Where that presence is, you remember your power. The reason so many feel lost is because they've lost touch with this inner sanctuary. They've replaced silence with stimulation, but no amount of noise can replace revelation, and revelation is what changes lives. You do not need more motivation. You need a moment of stillness to remember the truth you've buried beneath activity. You do not need another strategy. You need to hear the voice of divine instruction that already knows the way. You are not disconnected. You're just distracted, and every morning offers you the chance to return. To sit, to breathe, to listen. Stillness reveals who you really are. You are not your worries. You are not your to-do list. You are not the label the world gave you. You are spirit. You are imagination. You are divine intention, and all of heaven moves to support the one who moves from stillness. This is why the most successful lives are not the busiest. They are the most aligned, and alignment comes not by force, but by focus. Focused awareness in the morning is the greatest spiritual weapon you possess. It is where you let go of what no longer serves and accept what already belongs to you in spirit. When you sit in silence, don't just sit as a human trying to be spiritual. Sit as spirit remembering its authority. Speak not from need but from completion. Let the mind grow quiet, and you will begin to hear not random thoughts, but revelation. A knowing will arise, not from logic, but from the deeper part of you that always knew the way. That knowing is sacred. That knowing is what builds destiny, and that knowing does not shout, it whispers. This is why stillness is so essential. You must quiet the noise of what the world says is possible, so you can hear what God says is inevitable. You must close your eyes not to escape reality, but to awaken to a greater one. In that quiet place you begin to feel your desire fulfilled, not as fantasy but as truth. You begin to walk, in your mind, the life you've been promised. And as you do, something powerful happens. Your emotional state shifts. You are no longer asking. You are thanking. You are no longer hoping. You are seeing. You are no longer doubting. You are knowing. And that knowing transforms your state, and your state transforms your world. From this stillness, move gently into your day, not rushed, not frantic, but centered, because once you've received from the Spirit, no man can take it from you. Once you've been filled in silence, no noise can empty you. You are now carrying peace, and that peace will go before you and make crooked paths straight. So do not underestimate the value of this sacred practice. Make it your covenant, make it your non-negotiable. The world may be loud, but you do not have to be. The storm may rage outside, but within you can be calm, and from that calm miracles unfold, because stillness is not inactivity. It is divine preparation. It is the birthplace of vision. It is the seedbed of transformation, and each morning you are given access to clarity, access to guidance, access to power. Do not trade that access for noise. Do not rush into activity without first anchoring in presence. Sit, listen, receive, and then rise, not with anxiety but with authority, because in stillness you've touched heaven, and when heaven touches you, the world cannot remain the same. Repetition rewrites reality. There is a divine law often overlooked by those seeking sudden transformation, repetition. In a world conditioned for instant results and impatient desires, the power of repeating a truth until it becomes natural is forgotten. But in the unseen realm of consciousness, repetition is not mere routine, it is creation. What you consistently impress upon your inner world becomes the shape your outer world must follow. This is why the morning routine is not a performance for the sake of productivity, but a sacred ceremony of spiritual imprinting. Each repeated affirmation, each visualized scene, each spoken declaration in the quiet of morning is an act of creation, not repetition. You are not just going through motions, you are laying down new grooves in the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind, once impressed, does not argue, it obeys. It does not ask if the vision is realistic. It simply expresses what is planted. The repetition of the inner state, when fused with belief, emotion, and persistence, becomes the mold for all future events. Most people abandon this process too early. They imagine once, speak once, declare once, and expect mountains to move. But the wise know that reality bends not to fleeting emotions but to sustained assumptions. You do not get what you want. You get what you repeatedly accept as true. If you want a different life, you must build a different state. And that state is built not in a single morning, but in the quiet, consistent, daily act of becoming. It is not the dramatic moment that shifts your world. It is the subtle, unseen repetition of inner truth that eventually hardens into fact. Repetition is how identity is rewritten. You were told you were limited. You were trained to expect disappointment. You were taught that dreams are unrealistic. But each morning you rise and declare otherwise. You chip away at that old structure. Each time you sit in silence and see yourself whole, successful, loved, and free, you are replacing the old script with a new one. And just like a seed watered daily in the dark, there comes a moment when breakthrough is visible. You may not see change on the outside yet, but inside you know something is different. You feel lighter, bolder, more certain. You walk with expectation. You speak with conviction. Why? Because repetition has done its work. You are no longer trying to believe, you do believe, and belief is the magnet that draws all things into form. This is why the spiritual path is not about complexity, it is about consistency. Choose your vision. Choose your words, choose your emotional state, and repeat them until they become your nature. Don't wait to feel ready. Use repetition to become ready. Even the most powerful truths will fade without reinforcement. That is why you must return to the same scene, the same statement, the same inner feeling again and again, until it is more real to you than the facts of your outer world. The world will test your devotion. It will present you with delay, with contradiction, with noise, but repetition is your answer to all of it. Every time you feel doubt rise, return to the vision. Every time circumstances contradict your desire, return to the end. Repetition is not weakness, it is mastery. It is how you forge a new self and dwell in the reality you wish to see. Morning after morning you sit, you speak, you imagine, and what once felt foreign begins to feel familiar. What once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. What once felt like a dream becomes your new identity. This is not delusion, it is divine law. Life cannot help but give you what you embody. You are not fooling yourself. You are forming yourself. You are not escaping reality. You are declaring a higher one built by design, not default. This is why it matters what you say in the morning, what you feel in the morning, what you see in the morning. It is the sacred time to impress the new reality again and again until it finally says, "This is who I am now." And once that shift happens inwardly, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. You don't need to beg for change. You need to persist in the assumption until change becomes automatic. Repetition is how spirit writes new code into the soul. It's how transformation becomes natural. It's how the old man dies and the new man rises, not in a flash, but in quiet, determined mornings of remembrance. You rise and say, "I am loved," and at first it feels false, but you say it again tomorrow. And again the next day you rise and imagine abundance, and at first lack screams louder, but you persist. You rise and declare freedom even while chains remain, but you don't waver because you know the law. What you repeat in spirit must manifest in form. The truth does not grow tired, it grows real. You are not asking the world to believe in you. You are training yourself to believe in the world you've seen within. And once that belief is set through repetition, reality conforms. The mountain moves, the door opens, the way appears, not because you worked harder, but because you persisted longer in the truth. So do not despise the routine. Do not rush the process. Repetition is your act of faith. It is your agreement with divine law. It is the rhythm of becoming, and each morning you engage in it. You write another line in the story of your future. One morning you will look around and realize you are now living what you once only dared to declare. Not because life randomly changed, but because you refused to stop watering the seed. Repetition is the rain, it is the rhythm of manifestation, it is the echo of your becoming, so speak the vision again. Imagine the scene again, feel the joy again, and again, and again, until the world has no choice but to call it real, because you repeated it until it was.